Hey guys. So, as Simon introduced me, I'm Peter. I came from Europe, actually, from Prague headquarters. And you saw the map of all our headquarters. So I had been traveling for 3 months. I visited San Francisco, Chicago. Now I'm here in Singapore, to tell you today something more about the BellaDati. I'm senior data analyst in BellaDati. I oversee all the analysts in our company all across the world, and I also, oversee the product development and so on and so on. Prior to my joining BellaDati, I spent 4 years in IBM consulting for Cognos, so I have some experience with business intelligence in large corporations and with the traditional software. And I have been thinking a very long time how to introduce you BellaDati today. And then I decided that I'll tell you a story at the beginning. Not story, maybe 3 reasons why I decided to leave, the white shirts after 4 years, and I decided to join a startup here at BellaDati. When I thought this is a great product, and I selected 3 reasons. Firstly, BellaDati is Agile analytics. I think that in this century, everyone has to be, in a company, has to be a data analyst. But traditional software, as I experienced, it's usually based, around few people in a company. They call it like BI department, data analysts, business intelligence competitive center probably. And these are the people who create reports for all of other, colleagues and all other people in the company, managers and executives. But there was a huge problem, because everyone, as I said, everyone needs to be a data analyst. So I don't want to make requests to my BI department. I don't want to wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get the report, and then I figure out, oh, probably they didn't understand me, and the report doesn't look as I want. So BellaDati has an Agile interface, which means that everyone is able to create reports. We are empowering users to become a data analyst. You don't need to go to someone else to ask for reports. With BellaDati, you can create your own reports. So this is the first thing I decided. Maybe this is a good reason, because in the future, everyone needs to be a data analyst. This is not the era of a software when I have to go to somewhere else to do it for me. Second reason. Hi. Just take a seat, the last one. Good. Welcome. We started introduction like 5 seconds ago, so don't worry, you haven't missed anything. The second reason, I used to carry with me this let's say 6 kilos black computer with additional battery. It took me half an hour to fire up the laptop, and then I was able, to start demoing to clients or start developing the reports, because this is, this was a very, very hardware and power demanding software. But BellaDati is based on web interface, web 2.0 interface as we call it. So only thing I need to do is basically start my, web browser, and I can start, creating reports and demoing to clients and show, doing my analysis. And we have also native applications for iOS and Android. So when traditional software was built, like let's say 20, 30 years ago, traditional BI software, it was more like desktop, clumsy, slow, no mobile interface. They're trying to do some mobile interface right now. We were actually, built BellaDati with the mobility and collaboration in mind. So there are native applications for iOS, there are native applications for Android. Aislinn will show you more in the second section. And the third thing, when I was joining, I was thinking back, is a cloud really a future? What do you think? Do you think that cloud is a future in a software, or there will be huge problems, and maybe the future is not in the cloud? So I was asking myself the same question. I think no one knows the answer. Probably it is, probably it is not. So I either wanted, to try maybe some software and some company with a cloud, so I can join, the revolution and go with the flow. But on the other hand, I was thinking, what if the cloud is not, not the future? What if the company is not doing really well with the cloud? But BellaDati has a solution for everything. We are in a cloud, but we still, make sure that if the cloud is not the future, and if there are some customers who actually don't want to run in the cloud, maybe because they are scared of losing the data, maybe they have some kind of policy, we still have an on-premise version which you can install behind the firewall, and you can basically have control of all of your data, your servers, your performance, you can scale, and so on. So these are the 3 reasons why. Now you know why I joined. And I think that's enough about me. How I do presentation always is that I don't not only allow to ask you questions during my session, but I encourage you to ask questions during the session. So if you have any questions, we are here today for you. We can start right now.
When you say agile analytics,
yeah.
Are you referring to purely the notion of being able to give the power to people, or are you also talking about iterative reports that you change and learn, and so the traditional sort of lean or agile methodology?
There are a few perspectives. The first perspective is maybe from user interface. Agile, that I'm able to create reports in 15 minutes. This is the subtitle of my presentation. So it's really easy to create it. I follow the workflow. I click. I follow 3, 4, let's say, dialog windows, and I'm able to select. I'm able to set up the chart, the table, the geomap, the KPI one. So this is one perspective. And the third thing, it's more again about user interface, I think. So basically, everything is in one interface. So where you create reports, in the same interface you consume the reports. So again, traditionally, you have a one interface to create the reports, you have a one interface to consume reports, which means you consume here, then you want to change something, you have to go somewhere else, then change it there, then go back, then refresh it, and then you will see the change. And BellaDati, you have one interface, and you're basically switching, I want to view it, I want to edit it, which is again agile, because you can, spend 15 or 30 seconds to change the look and feel, completely change the look and feel of your reports and dashboards. So this is how we think about agile interface. But maybe after this session, you'll think that it's agile, maybe it's not agile. Maybe you'll think that there are other reasons why it's agile. But these are basically reasons why I think it's agile.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, questions are encouraged. We are here for you. I want to tell you something more about the tool. In the first, let's say, half an hour, maybe I want to show you the two layers. So we will really focus on on the agile analytics. Then we'll show this later. But if you have any questions, if you have your specific pain points, your specific use cases, we can discuss it. We can show we can directly show it in the tool.
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
Just a question on cloud, right?
Absolutely.
What kind of a cloud model is that? Is it basically, because there involves basically a data set for analytics, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this data set, when you mentioned about cloud, BellaDati is actually hosting the cloud model, and then we kind of import the data into BellaDati?
Absolutely. The whole application is running on Amazon Web Services, where we migrated when I joined 8 months ago, because we hosted it in Prague. Customers were like, we wanted something more reliable and trustable, so we decided to move to Amazon Web Services. So the whole stack, the whole application, which I'll explain later, is running in Amazon Web Services. The data warehouse, the reporting layer and dashboarding layer, this is the application. So the warehouse layer is where the data are stored. So yeah, once you're in the cloud, you're basically moving your data to the BellaDati, to the cloud, to the data warehouse, so basically moving the data to Amazon. And this is the reason why a few customers are like, do I want to really do this? If you don't want to do this, buy your own server, install it behind your firewall. You don't need to move it. But usually clients who don't have, let's say, internal resources. I don't have an IT team who's gonna maintain this, who's gonna buy a server, who's gonna run it and install it. I don't want to pay for analytical services for a consulting firm or for us. So I'll just use the cloud. In Europe, people are more conservative, so it's more like on-premise, still on-premise, Notion and Way. In US, here in Asia, from my perspective, but in US and in Asia, we're for a really short time. I think in US, people are more open to cloud. Like, maybe see the future. They want to build their own infrastructure. You know, they're rebuilding their own infrastructure in cloud. So once they have a Salesforce in the cloud, what's the reason why you shouldn't have a reporting or analytics in the cloud? So, yeah, I wanna move to the tool, and I want to quickly explain the tool before we move to the real demo. So as I said, BellaDati is built on 3 layers. The bottom line is a data warehouse. Data warehouse is something like a consolidation layer for all the data. So you can imagine that I can pull data from my customer database, other database, whatever, Oracle, SAP, whatever you have. Then I can connect to social networks, and I can pull data from social network APIs. Then I can connect to Salesforce, to MongoDB, as Simon was mentioning. I can connect to whatever my Excel files, my local files, and everything I'm pulling data out of the data warehouse, so I have it on one place, and I can start, then I can start joining them, merging data, meshing up together, basically. So this is our consolidation layer, and we have it, we have it in BellaDati. Maybe later in the last section, when we'll discuss more about the data warehouse and capabilities, I'll explain it. You can have a data warehouse, or you can join your own data warehouse. This will be later. Again, so we have all the data. Maybe we should move one level up, and we should go to the reporting layer, which is layer for analysts, where you can build. When you can turn all the data into reports, to nice charts, tables, KPIs, geomaps, where you can do all this collaboration, sharing, and so on and so on. This is more like analyst-oriented layer. And then the top layer is a dashboarding, which is, someone call it more for the managers. I think it's more like personalized dashboard. So I decide how I wanna look, how I wanna have my report. What I wanna have, what kind of layout I wanna have, what kind of content I wanna have on my dashboard. So it's more like personalized interface. So these are the 3 layers. And then how BellaDati fits the data discovery of the process, as we call it. Data discovery is something that I have a data somewhere there in my primary systems, and I want to be able to create some reports, and there always has to be some kind of a process. So how we understand the process is that somewhere on the left side, here I have my primary sources, as I was mentioning, so databases, social networks, cloud solutions. And BellaDati has its own built ETL. Maybe I need to explain it like extract, transform, and load if you don't know about it, which means that I want to extract data from somewhere. Probably I want to transform them, I want to clean them, and then I want to load them to the data warehouse. So this is the reason why it's called ETL in BI space. So we have our own ETL capabilities, which are able to connect to different data sources and pull data to the data warehouse. Once I've had my data in the data warehouse, I want to start building reports. So I have to have some, again, capabilities to create the data into reports. In BellaDati, you do it by mouse, by drag and drop, by clicking some buttons, or you can write formulas, which is more, analyst-oriented, more complicated calculations. And this is how, we turn data into reports. You will show it later. So this is another way how we move the data from data warehouse to the reporting layer. And then what if I have my reports and my reporting layer? Maybe I want to start, collaborate, as I was saying. Maybe I want to start, commenting data. I want to invite new users by sharing reports to users, particular users or particular user groups. Or I want to export it somewhere else. So I want to publish it to dashboard, or I want to go somewhere else outside of the BellaDati. So we have the capabilities, to push data even farther, or reports even farther by actually taking the chart or table or map, take it as an iframe, so something like when you're sharing a YouTube video, and put it somewhere else to the third-party portal, to your Salesforce, to your application, or somewhere else. Or you can export reports, dashboards, to PowerPoint, PDF, Excel, or you can actually schedule emails. So I schedule email, I'll be able to send reports, to my colleagues. I want to schedule it every day, every Monday. How I do it in our company is that our sales guys, they always every Monday get a report about all the new registrations and so on and so on. So this is the reason why I use it, because they are lazy to connect here. They just want to be like, I want to have it in my email Monday morning. Good. In my first section, where I want to focus is maybe more on the dashboarding and reporting layer. So I'll show you some dashboards. I'll show you how to do all this analysis on a reporting layer. Then Aisling in the second section will show you more about publishing, collaboration, our mobile interface. Then the third section will be about the BellaApps, which are our industry-related and prepared analysis. So basically, you don't need to do this, but everything is within the application prepared for you. And then in the last section I was mentioning before lunch, I'll tell you more about the data warehousing. I'll show you some details, how to connect to different data sources, and so on and so on.
Just one quick question. So, number one, are you going to share the slides after?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
So I'll put it to the PDF, probably, and so
Great. And when you talk about the ETLs,
yeah.
Obviously there's a fast-changing environment around APIs. So like Facebook, for example, might change how it works. What sort of SLAs do you offer clients to keep that data clean and structured and coming in the way that they need it?
You mean if the provider decides to change an API, how we ensure it?
Yeah.
This happened 7 weeks ago when Twitter shut down the version 1.
Yeah.
And what we need to do and what we have to do is that we have to, we are actually, firstly, we are prepared for it because Twitter doesn't shut it. Like this morning, someone like Nick Costello, who is the CEO of Twitter, said, "Hey, I'm going to shut down the API today." So they, let you know up front. So we, actually modified the API and modified all the, the requests they had before they shut it down. So it worked today. It works,
Yeah.
In terms of SLA, I don't think there's a special SLA, but we that's something we have to do because once our customers in the morning log into the application and they will see, oh, Twitter connector is not working properly, they won't be satisfied. So this is something what we really do. Okay. One of the things the company really focus on, and I really push on, and CEO really push on, is our new connectors. It's because the more connectors you're able to connect, and the more data you're able to consume. Firstly, you fill the big data space because again, we can discuss what's big data. Simon has an opinion about big data. I have my opinion about big data, and I heard 5 different opinions what's actually big data. So if you want to be at least one of these 5 opinions about the big data, we have to have as many connectors. So you see, we push Mongo. We push. I had so many mangoes here that I'm like Mongo. You're able to connect to databases with that, and all these prepared connectors, but maybe you're not able, to consume data from social networks and cloud solutions because they don't think that maybe this is necessary, or they will tell you, okay, build your own connector because there's a public API. We will do it for you. So when you will, in the last section, you will see that actually, how it works. It works pretty similar when I log in somewhere with Facebook. I just authorize the app, and then I'm able, to actually access all the data which are publicly available through the API. In terms of SLA, maybe Simon can speak more about it, like what kind of SLAs we have and how it's priced for customers and everything like this. Yeah. But the only thing I can guarantee to you is that when they change the API, we have to react because when we don't react, we have to, I can pack my things and go home because if that data are not moving to the tool, then it doesn't make any sense for us to do it. And this is the big problem with it, with the social providers, because Facebook does it really often. They change the API and they just send email like we're gonna shut API. Twitter does it for the first time. Yeah, so this is something you need to we have to prepare upfront. Yeah. So any questions about the first part? Maybe about the data discovery process? One thing I add here, this is the application, right? So everything this is in the application, but BellaDati is not only the application, it's also a platform, as we call it. Platform means that we have an API, our own API, REST and web services, through which you are able, to modify the application to your own needs. So you can build actually, you can take all these capabilities and you can build your own software, your own application on top of it. So let's imagine, okay, I have a ticketing system, I have my own CRM, and I need a BI capabilities. I don't want to develop a new BI, so I just take a BellaDati, I use it API, SDK, web services, whatever we have, and all the things we have, and then I can embed all this into my application very easily, very quickly. I can modify the look and feel of the BellaDati. I can modify the CSS, HTML, everything. So basically, it will look like my BI without actually building something, just taking the API we have. So this is why we call it also the platform. So somewhere here should be maybe, I didn't want to make it more complicated, but somewhere here should be all the API capabilities. So you can take this and you can basically embed it to your own application. So I was telling you something about the 3 layers. So it was horizontal, now it's vertical. So you can imagine what's the publishing workflow, how we move data from data warehouse where you have data sets. The sets are something like tables. Then on top of the data set, you will actually create reports. And report is composed of the different views. So let's say view will be a chart, a KPI, wherever, some kind of a map here. Maybe there will be a map. And then once you're done with the reports, you actually, you can, as I said, you can start combining. So here you are turning data into views, and on the dashboarding layer you're not creating any, you're not creating any new views. You're basically just combining. So I want to, from this report, I want to see this chart, and then this KPI, I want to see probably from this data set. So this is more like I'm just taking whatever I need, whatever I'm interested in, I'm putting it in my layout. As I was saying, what kind of views and dashlets we have. I was, because I was mentioning the term views so many times, and maybe people, you can still not imagine what view, but you'll see in a few seconds. We have more than 240 combination of charts. I don't know how guys calculated this one, but probably we can reach this number. So charts. Then we have different tables. You'll see everything. We have a KPI labels, which is my favorite measure, because I'm not a huge fan of all this. How it's called, gauges and thermometers and all this like fancy looking, things, which maybe they look good, but they don't have a huge, like information value for me. So I'm a huge fan of a KPI. So you see the number and you see the growth, you can see all these arrows and conditional formatting. And then another thing I really love about the BellaDati is this, are the geomaps, and I will talk about geomaps because there's a lot of things behind the geomaps. Maybe later. So this is when I'm saying the views, you can imagine what I mean by a view. A single table, a single chart, a single KPI label, or a map. Okay, dashboarding. I was telling a lot about it, so I'll just, I'll review it. This is the way how the dashboard can look like. You see a KPI here, you see a chart here. Then you can, as I was saying, this is more personalized layer. So you can add here an RSS feed or a news feed. You can put here a map. South Asia region, you can put a video here, so this is a custom content. This is really your, the first thing you are supposed to see when you actually, open BellaDati. Maybe some guides here, another charts, and other tables, and so on and so on. So as I said, this is designed for managers and executives. You don't need to know anything about BI. You're not turning data into reports, dashboards, views. You're just, you're building your personalized layout and structures. You mix the different views from different reports, as I said. So maybe I need to see something from sales, then I need to see something from marketing, then something maybe from our social network analysis. So I can just take everything and put it to my dashboard, and I don't need to view 3 different reports. You can have additional content, as I was saying, YouTube videos, whatever, RSS feeds, and you can drill through directly to reports. So if I said like, this looks really interesting, maybe I'm really interested in this chart, because something is going wrong here. I see a graph here. So I just click on it, and I'll be redirected to the report, and I can actually start doing more deeper analysis. And then the reports. Last slide before we actually go to the app. It's more, designed for analysts, so you have more options to, create all these charts, all the geomaps. You have the collaboration layer here. You have a collaboration layer here. You have the what-if analysis layer here. You have the sharing options, exporting options here. You're actually turning data into views on this layer. So maybe probably I explain everything, and I don't think it makes any sense to spend more time on presentation, and we should definitely go to the application, and I can start showing you some features. So this is the dashboard. Dashboard usually has a blue background, and as I was saying, 3 layers. 3 layers are really important. So the first thing few things you need to know. Firstly, you see that I'm connecting to cloud. I'm running in the web browser. There's no desktop application somewhere here, so I'm running in the web browser. I'm connected to cloud. I'm in the BellaDati, and I have 3 layers here: reporting layer, where I'm right now, reporting layer, where I create reports, and a dataset layer where I actually, maintain the data warehouse. And I'm a domain administrator, so probably I have some users management settings and so on and so on. So this is the report. What I can do on the report. Firstly, I have the most important views here, so probably I have some news, some RSS feed, some overview. These are actually from different reports. And I can see, I have a Steve here with some video from management. I have a KPIs here, I have a charts here, and if I decide, okay, I want to see something new, I want to see maybe a new perspective, I just hit the edit button. But I was saying at the beginning, why it's Agile, when I want to change something, I don't need to go somewhere else. I just, switch to the edit mode. I see that I have some more balance here, a free space, and I just click on it and I select, okay, maybe I want to add one more dashlet, and the dashlet will be, for example, you can select navigation. I'll just select another view, another view, for example, the overview, such as a place in the dashlet here. So I see some number of enrolled students I have, number of schools I have, what's my dropout rate, and so on and so on. I decided to choose, we have many different cases and many different data, but I decided to choose education data for my part today, because I feel like maybe you're from different industries, maybe you have a different focus, but education is something like everyone understands, so if we are like counting the number of students and number of schools and what's the dropout rate, and I'm showing you on this kind of data, you probably everyone understands, so it's not like what he's talking about. Okay. So this is the way how you work with the dashboard. Once you want to change something, like you want to add a new row here, you want to work with the layout. As I was saying, you can modify your own layout. It's everything like drag and drop. I just click somewhere. I can move around with the dashlight. I can actually take this one and move it. I'm sorry. I can take this one and I'll just roll up here. Probably I place it here, and then I close this one, and I see their RSS view. So this is the way how your users actually play around with the layout and how they build their own content. If they want to see something new, as I was saying, I can just like split my view. I can click here, and I can start selecting what kind of content I want to see. So this is more like I'm pulling the content to my dashboard, and I will show you maybe another section how to push data. So how you can place some views on the report dashboard. Good. And then once I'm done with the editing, again, I just hit a finish. I think I see that something disappeared actually from here. I don't have all the layout management buttons here, and this is the view mode. So it's Agile because I don't need to go anywhere else. If I decide I want to see some other dashboards, because you can just go, you can just switch it, and I see totally different perspective. This is something from project management, so I'm seeing again some KPIs. I see what's the evolution of my project and so on. You can actually share with the users also your dashboards. So basically, very quickly just select the users I wanna share with or user group, and you can share. You can add attachments, and once you're done, you basically go to the report. So let me show you the finished report, how it can look, and I will spend some time, to try to develop. I'll show you how to develop something similar. So again, this is the report. I switch to the reports. So from dashboards, we move actually to the reports. And I'm here, and you see that probably if I have some more buttons here, I have a sharing options, I have exporting options. If I click, edit, again, I have more options here with the layout management, with all the functions I can do. So this is the way how you basically, once you have a report, what you can do.
Peter, earlier on in dashboards, you actually use the share function. What do you actually share in dashboard?
So you can share the whole dashboard. Let's say,
but it has to be a user. That means I need to be a user of BellaDati.
You need to be a user of BellaDati. Yeah. So once you are sharing, you have to share to account which is in BellaDati.
I see. Okay.
But there are a few options how to share with user who's not in the, who's not in the BellaDati. You can like send him the exported report, or you can take this, and I'll show, as I'll show you later, I can embed it to my page, and then we don't restrict you to see anyone, the reports. So let's say you have a web page, you take this one, you take this. She will show you later, so I don't want to take her, take her part. So you can take this one, you can embed it to your Salesforce, iGoogle portal application, wherever you want, and everyone's able to see this.
But that's report, right?
But it's a report, but yeah, that's a report.
Not
Embedding
the
is,
dashboard.
no, but what's the difference? You can take this one and you can publish it to dashboard, or you can take it from here, from the reporting layer, and you can embed it somewhere else. Still, you will see the same numbers.
Okay, but when I share the dashboard, that will be actually a dynamic piece of information, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you embed it, it will be also the dynamic. So if I decide, I have BellaDati here, I have my portal here, and if you embed it here, actually, this is a live connection. So every morning you open your whatever company portal, you will be actually able to see the fresh data. So this is the option. But when you want to share, when you want to use the sharing option, you always have to have like users in your domain. Maybe we can Simon or I can speak later. What kind of users you can have, what are the number of users you can have in different versions. But this is more about this is more the pricing and the licensing.
So this is sharing. Earlier we mentioned about basically that's the embedded option.
Yeah.
The embedded option also have dynamic basically information updates. But
Absolutely.
you do not need to actually have a so-called account
Yeah.
for the embedding.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe more about our pricing model. We have three different what's the name for it? Licensing model? No, not licensing models.
I don't.
Plans, because in Europe they call it tariffs, but here let's call it plans. There's a plan which it's a pilot and which restricts you to have only 5 users. Okay, then there's a work group which restricts you to have 10 users. And then there's an enterprise where there's no restriction. So once you have an enterprise, license, then you can basically, you can connect to Active Directory, which you have, support for whatever LDAP solution you have. You can import hundreds of your users and you can share with everyone. But the option, embedding is more like, you want to embed it to your public website, public portal, or some like public information, So embedding, embedding is more about like, publishing something to public, to someone who doesn't have an account in a BellaDati. Once you want to have all this capability for the users, they have to be, they have to be within the BellaDati, and then they can, consume through the interface.
I have a question
Good.
regarding the access control thing. So see, if you share with a group, like I'm an employee and I only want to look at my data, and say you are my manager, you want to look at your data and my data. Is that this kind of access control? When you share with a group, in the group there is both employee and managers.
Yeah.
So for the same report, different people can look at different data. Something like that.
Absolutely. There are more things in terms of sharing, collaboration, and the permission level.
What we're talking about later.
Let me show you. Let me really quickly show you how to create reports, because I still have a second section about like with the slides, everything, explain. So it's not like I answer your question and then we'll repeat it, or you don't get the full information. She will like provide the full information for it, But
that is possible.
But yeah, we'll just tell you that everything is possible, and actually I can go to the, this is the first premise. If you do something like everything is possible, then you can start instructing everything. Yeah, so everything's possible. Basically, what I really loved about it, and some competitors cannot do it, is that we can set up permission level on permissions to a single row in your database. So we can set up like a set of filters. Let's say I'm from this division, from this country, I'm in this position, and you filter like, so you are able to see only this, that, this, that, this.
Row level security is
Yeah. So there's a row level security. This is exactly how we call it, but I'm not sure if people sometimes understand when I said row level security. So basically, if I have a table of data, and I can set you can see that the only where is this country, this position, this division, and this customer, and then I can actually filter only the single row, and you will see only the information from the single row in your report. But someone else who logs in and has a different user user parameters, they can probably see something else. So I have a report about the schools here. I create a report for the whole districts. It includes 26 schools, but what if my principals or my directors of the schools, they log in, they probably have to see only their school. So I set a filter. Once James, whatever Cook is logged in, he's able only to see the school in Greenville or in Miami or in California, in Los Angeles, not my competitor school. This is the same with the sales data. When I'm a sales guy, I cannot see someone else's data. I just want to see once I log in, BellaDati takes your identity, and filter data, so you see in report only what you're supposed to see, but that's later. Any other questions?
Will you be talking about your scripting language?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Scripting, but today we decided to take it like from the simplest to the most complicated. So, as the time flows, we actually go like more deeper to the formulas and to the scripting and everything. So don't worry. It will get more complicated. It will get more complicated. So let me go back to the report if I have a connection. And so yeah, as I said, this is how report works. Again, I have different things here. I can go to edit content. I can go down there, and you see that it works the same way. Right now I'm in editing mode. But what I want to do right now is just leave this one and maybe create a new report, which I will call one Meetup. And I'll select the data set. So again, I select the table from which I want to create, from which I want to create some reports. So let me just say I have a school evidence here. This is some evidence about the schools. Join data set. We'll not right now. Just pretend that we have some data, because today we are moving from the, as I said, from the dashboarding and reporting layer down there to the data warehouse. So we'll start with the assumption that we have a data in the data warehouse. Then likely I will show you how to load the data in the data warehouse. Again, so I have an empty report, and now you will see why we call it Agile. Because I switch to edit mode, and I can start building my views. So this is the view. Once I hover on top of the view, I'm able to select what kind of a view type I want to make. So let's say I want to create a KPI table. I just call it really quickly overview. So there's no way where to lost, because you are following the same workflow again and again once you're creating views. And here I have all my indicators. Maybe someone from BI space knows that it's called measures. Do all guys know what's the difference between dimension and measure, how it works? Like, what are the dimensions, what are the measures? Okay, so this is the reason why I have maybe one more slide here. So usually I have a table, relational data, whatever. I have some columns in my data, then I have a row. So this is the way how we store data in databases, in whatever APIs, and so on and so on. Also in the BellaDati, so we have in Excel, we have columns, and then I have some columns which breaks down data by some attribute. So let's say I have a name here, then I have bread here, and then I have some measures, some numbers. What's the price? What's the price actually of the elephant, of the animal called Big Bull, and from its elephant it weighs 7,000 probably kilos, and this is his price. So these are the dimensions. This is the way how I want to break out my data. So let's say I want to create a chart. What's the weight of the different animals? So there will be dimension, will be this column. So these columns are dimensions. So this is the way, or as we call it, drill downs or attributes. How I want to break down my data. So what are the typical dimensions? I want to see data by country, by region, by person, by customer, by product, by whatever, by bread, by animal name. And then So these are the dimensions, and then there are measures. In the BI space, they call it measure, we call it indicators. It doesn't matter, and measures are actually the values, what I want to see. So I want to see, price, sales, revenue, weight, age. These are all the measures, all indicators. So what I'm actually data I'm displaying in the chart in the table. So this is the dimensions, and these are the measures. So once I get back into the application, and I see some, I will be able to see some measures. So right now I will be selecting what kind of measures I want to see. So probably if I would have the data set about the animals, there will be weight and price, but we are from the educational space right now. So we'll have number of accepted students, acceptance rates, number of applicants, number of classrooms, number of dropouts, number of enrolled students, number of enrollment rate, graduates, rating of the school, and so on and so on. So, values and some measures about the school. And I can start selecting what I want to actually see. So let's say I want to see a number of students. I know the number of students are probably in a column named enrolled. Again. So I click on it, and number of enrolled students will be moved into the middle column, which it's like displays all the indicators displayed later in the KPI. Then I can start, probably editing it, because I'm pretty sure that no one's understands what's enrolled, so I will call it like total students, let's say. Right? But I have how my table looks like. I have a number of students for this school, the number of students for this school in another row, and the number of students for this row. So how BI tools work in general, they always try to aggregate data. So the function, how to display data, is always predefined as aggregation or sum. But basically you can later select a different aggregation function. But basically, if I select only the number of enrolled students, what BellaDati and other BI tools will do is basically they will automatically sum it up. So if I don't provide any dimension, any way how to break out data, they will just show the total number. If I later apply a region, it will again sum the data, but by the region. Okay, so sum is, so in this way I just rename it. Another thing, we don't have only indicators and measures. You can also select, we have a predefined count. So let's say I want to see number of schools. So I just go down there, and I know that probably I want to select count of schools, but count of unique schools, because some schools they can be multiplied times 30 again. So I just select the count of the schools. I maybe I can go to indicators. I can just rename them like schools. Unit, I don't need to probably set up the unit, and I'll just save it. Other options, what if I want to see enrollment rate? So I just hit on the enrollment rate. But the problem with the enrollment rate is that there's a percentage, and BellaDati will automatically set up the aggregation function. So there will be a sum. That's probably not a problem. I want to see average enrollment rate. So I can just very easily change how I want to see data. Do I want to see a maximum? Do I want to see a minimum? Or I just want to see average? I'll just select average. Probably I'll specify the unit. It will be a percentage, and I'll set up a format, which maybe looks scary right now. But if once you show a help, you will know that this is the number, and I want to use a 1 decimal point, 1 decimal number behind a decimal point. And so I select the average, and I save it. And then I can go, to conditional formats. So this is something again we have. And you can start applying the conditional formats. If this is bigger than 5%, it is. If this is smaller than 5%, it is. Or you can just select one of our predefined formats. These are like green and red numbers, black and red numbers, so some default formulas, or you can just basically create your own on the fly. So I say what kind of a format I want to apply if the value is greater than this or this. Show me also the percentages, what's the increase, what's the decrease, and so on. So I go back, and maybe I want to put few more indicators. You were asking me about the formulas and transformation scripts, so now we can start doing something like that. You see that we are restricted only by the indicators which actually exist. But what if I want to calculate something new? What if I want to say, I want to calculate, I don't have it here, so I want to calculate enrollment rate. What's the enrollment rate? So how many of our, accepted students actually enrolls to the school? I don't have this information here. So how can I display this? So I can create a new indicator, very easily. I just hit the new indicator. I again go to indicator settings, and I'll have my very simple row here, something similar as an Excel, the upper row, and I can start writing the formula. So what I want to see is probably, again, I don't need to code anything if I don't want. So here I have help with all my indicators I have. So the only thing I do is actually I search for enrolled students, and then I press divide, probably by number of accepted students. Then I call it enrollment rate. I'll set up format again instead of percentage. I'll provide a format. I'll save it, and I'm done. I created a new row on the fly, so this will be generated on the fly. Again, if I wanna create, for example, if I wanna show the rating of the schools, average rating of the schools, I can do it like enrollment rate. So I'll just go back. I just create a new indicator. If I wanna create average rating of the schools, I can select the average from the indicators, or again, I can just go to the indicators. I can find my rating here. And you can see that immediately I can select the average value, so not the sum value, but the average value. So this is the way how you can select the indicator, or you can basically set, you can basically type the formula. And this is the way, when I was showing you the first slide, and I said here we have the ETLs, and then we have the formulas here, which means that some formulas are generated for you by BellaDati. You just click what you want to see, but you can write your own formulas. And these formulas are real simple. So let's do something more complicated. I'll just call it rating. Right? It's average. Probably it's in percentage. Probably I want to have 2 decimal points. I'll finish it. But what if I want to? This is a number. But what if I want to create like some text value for a rating? Let me just copy this formula here, which is more complicated. I explain it later. I create a new indicator, and I just paste it here. And you can see that this is a more complicated formula, and this is the way how you can create, loops, conditions, and everything like this. I'm not sure if you can see it, so I'll just probably make it bigger. I'll put it in the middle, and you can see, that this is the way. Basically, if you can code, who understands the formula probably? If you can see, like, if the average rating is less than 0.59, assign rating, this school is at risk, or if it's bigger than 60, then average, assign this value and this value and this value, and eventually return the rating. So basically you can start creating conditions, loops, case switch formulas. You can start, accessing the different attributes, different time formulas, and so on and so on. So this is basically, the whole programming language, which in BellaDati is based on Groovy. So the syntax will be very similar to Groovy language. Who understands the formula who can code at least a little bit. So I know that if this is really something out of, so you guys at least understand what you do. This is actually nothing simple, nothing hard, because then I was accessing the rating, average rating before, and then I just write really simple, if, and then I just return the rating I assign here. So we're done. We just call it whatever text rating. I hit save. I probably zoom out if I go to the right direction. Good. I just hit OK. And I will be immediately able to see, I'll be immediately able to see some values. So I have 70,000 students in 26 schools. My enrollment rate is 0.8. Again, we calculated enrollment rate right now, so it's 0.8. It's the same value, once I choose it, once I calculated it. Rating is 0.84, and the text value, actually, this value should be average, because it's not below average, it's not above average, it's not excellent, it's average. So we assign the textual value for this number. So this is how you create a new view. You see that I followed some simple steps, some workflows, some dialogues, and I was able to create a view. Now I have a view. But what if I have data in my underlying data sets for 5 years? So actually I don't have 70,000 students. 70,000 students, I have only 10,000 or 11,000 students. but these are the data for 5 years, and I haven't specified a time interval right now. So what I can do, I can go to edit settings, so I just click on this toolbox here, and I said a time interval. I select, okay, I want to see a date interval because in an underlying data set, I have some date intervals. And as you can see probably here, I have data from 2007 to 2012. And I want to say, okay, I want to see data only for 2000. I want to see, only years. So I said, I choose aggregation with data. And I said, okay, I want to see data only from 2012 to 2012. So only the last year. If I hit save, and I save it, I'll be able to see, okay, these are the data for current year, so date is 2012, I have 12,000 students, as I was telling you, and this value, this change, this probably not change, and so on, so this is how I feel right now. You see that the enrollment rate is nice. But this is not really comfortable, because what if we are in 2014, we have a new data for 2013, so you will go to every new view and just change a date. Doesn't make any sense, to define the dates very in an absolute way. Better way how to define dates. My favorite is relative. So now it's 2013. So if I want to display data for 2012, that's a -1 year probably. So I just write -1 and this means that return the year -1 from this year, which now it's 2013, so it's 2012. And if I have a new values for 2014, that will automatically this will derive the date as a 2013. So this is the way how to you see 2012. How to actually work with the data. How to work with the dates. I was showing you the aggregation by year, but actually you can aggregate by month. So you can select, okay, I want to see data only for the second half of the 2012. So from 6 months to 12 months. So basically you can go so deep in time. What's your time dimension or time column granularity? If you have time, the 2 seconds, you can actually restrict time to 2 seconds. So let's say I want to see only the second half of the year. I save it. I'll be able to see only from 6 months to 12 months. I don't have any data in the second half, so this is the reason why I can see. So let me go back to here, and then later I will just show you how to set up a custom date. But that's something more complicated, so I'll show you later. And again, we have data, but I see data for all the schools. I see data for 26 schools. What if I want to see what if I want to apply some filter? So again, I use our toolbox in the upper right corner, and I just hit the filter. Still have some time. And I can, here I have all my dimensions. Dimensions, as I was explaining, name, country, whatever grade, my customer. So here I have my dimensions in my data set, which is school name, school rating, principal name, ID of school, grade level, city, zip code, type of school. So probably type of school will be good. I want to see these KPIs only for a specific type of school, schools, high schools. So I select high schools. I apply the filter. The filter will appear here. Now I see that I have 9 high schools in my region in 2012. I have 4,000 students here. And this is my rating. My high schools, they are not average, they're actually good. So this is good. So I see values only for high schools. And then you can start combining the filters together. So I want to see high schools from this city, select a specific city you want to see. So you can go deeper and deeper, and basically, as we were telling, you can restrict data to specific. You can build and/or combinations. You can choose a specific city, and I can just or specific country in this type, and I can just I don't know why it's called city. It doesn't show it as a state. Okay, so this is how you combine the filters. I don't want to go deeper because maybe then we don't have enough data for this, but this is how you set up the filters. Again, so we're done with the filters. Let's create some more. Let's create some more views and some more maps, and then maybe I'll show you a little bit about votive analysis. So let's say I want to create a table, and I'm pretty sure I don't need to repeat this because you see that the workflow is always the same. I give the name, so let's say rating in time. I select a date interval. I want to see a rating for rating of my district for all my schools in the last 5 or 6 years. So I just apply the data interval. I select the rating. I can select numeric rating, or again, I can create a new formula. I just paste here the text here. I just call it rating text. Whatever. X is not working. Good. I'll just save it. Now I will be able to I'll be able to see have my table. Maybe I want to change the date granularity to years, so I see it by years, not by months. Maybe I want to switch, so I just click here to switch columns and rows, and I split it. And I wanted to see, I have a real simple table. Last 6 years, the rating. And here's the textual value. So this is the way how to create tables. You saw that I follow the same workflow, so it's nothing complicated. Once you want to edit the appearance of the table, you can just quickly go here, select select the colors. If you want to see some shading for even and odd routes, if you want to see drill down paths, what's the width of what the columns and so on and so on. So this is basically how to create the tables. Then you can start applying the dimensions. So let's say I don't want to see only by year, but I want to also see it by type of school. So I just go to my settings and I will say, hey, apply a type dimension. So I want to add a dimension. Probably I can throw dimension. I can throw type to the x-axis. I'll remove the view next to me, so I'll be able now see. I see rating and I see textual rating for elementary school, high school, middle school, and we have a double here. I don't know why there's 2 times middle school. Okay, so I break down actually data. So this is how you apply the dimensions. Then you can start applying more and more dimension, and the type table will be more and more complicated and more in depth. So this is the way how to create tables. And if I want to create a new chart, the same. The workflow will be always the same. So I select what kind of chart I want to see. So let's say I want to see combination chart. I'll call it, student-teacher ratio versus dropout rate. This is for example a nice analysis. And I would say so I want to see a dropout rate. So I don't have a dropout rate. So I have to create a new indicator. So I go to indicator, probably I select how many dropouts I have, divided by number of total students I have. Where are the students? Enrolled students, so this will be my dropout rate. And then I will have a students-teacher ratio, which I, again, don't have, but I can very easily create because I have a number of students in my enrolled column, and I have number of teachers in my teacher, and I call it student-teacher ratio, and then I save it. Then I click OK. So I define the chart. Chart probably doesn't look really nice, so I need to do some modifications. So first, I'm gonna maybe put all the values into one chart. Again, doesn't look really good. So I want to do some more things. Maybe I add a date. So I select, I want to see this, development of student-teacher ratio versus the dropout rate in the last 7 years. Looks better, still not enough. So I will go to indicators, and then I can still, I can define, for example, student-teacher ratio. What will be the appearance? This will be a line chart. The value will be on the right axis. The column will be red, for example, with the huge dots. And my dropout rate will be blue, and it will be a bar chart. And values will be on the left side. Once I save it, I'll be able to see this kind of analysis, which actually shows then if my dropout rate, if I have less students per teacher, my dropout rate declines. If I have more students per teacher, my dropout rate increases. So this is some kind of a value I can get from the data. I really love this combination chart because once you create a simple chart like bar chart, it tells you how many students per teacher you have, but it doesn't show any value or any information, but now I can see like, oh, probably I should have more teachers or less students, and then my job will decrease. So here, maybe the last few, I want to speak a little bit about our geomaps, and then we'll take a break, or Jason will continue. So what kind of geomaps we have and how it works? Can anyone tell me what kind of country is this one? This is for price. So this is the outline of the one country. I can tell you in which continent, if you don't know.
Europe.
It's in Europe. Yeah, it's in Europe. No. Share value is fine. It's all different. And actually, I think the capital is in the here. This is the capital, essentially. It's real difficult, right? When you look like this, and you don't have other side. This is France. So France always looks like person head. This is a nose. This is a chin. This is like there should be an eye. So there's a Paris somewhere here. So this is France. I just to display, to show you what kind of how can you display data on a map. You either can create a points. So here's a Paris. Here's somewhere a Marseille and Lyon and whatever. So you can display different values as a points or as a circles as we call it, and how it works. So let's say I have a data. Now I have a data from Singapore. I have a dimension with the locations. So Singapore Zoo, Airport Road, and I have some values here. But how can I display Singapore Zoo on the map? I need to have any location for any location information for a Singapore Zoo to actually be able to display a Singapore Zoo on the map. So if I have a longitude and a latitude somewhere stored in the BellaDati, we have prepared some locations for countries, capital cities, states, and so on. Or you can create your own definition, like for Singapore Zoo, you just figure out what's the longitude and latitude, you save it to the BellaDati, and then once you join Singapore Zoo with this definition, then you are able to create this, actually show this value on a map. So this is one way how you can display data on a map. Sometimes maybe it's not enough to show just point, but you want to create regions. So again, this is a predefined region of BellaDati because this is a country. So we have a prepared. It looks scary, but you can download it actually from the internet. So this is a GeoJSON definition of the area or of the region. So this is a geo definition, I think, for France. So just download it. This is stored in the BellaDati for all the countries, all the states, all the capital cities or whatever. But if you want to create your own region, for example, within the Singapore, within the country, within the city, wherever, you can just define, from the square, which is the simplest, or from a triangle, which is the simplest area, definition, like 3 points, to something really complicated like this one, which will be defined like this. So this is the other way how to create, how to display data in BellaDati, and this we call it the heat maps. And I will show you how easy it is if you have if you have this data, actually. So let me go back to the tool. Let me click on a map, call it GeoPoints. I'll select, I want to see number of students, so I just really quickly select the indicator because we have been discussing indicators for a long time. I don't have anything in the view because I need to specify something. So let me say, I'm selecting, how I want to break my data because I can have more dimensions. I can break my data by city, by state, by region. So I select, okay, I want to break down data by city. Actually, this will be US states. So US states points. So I select, this dimension shouldn't be called city, it should be called state because I will be displaying data for states. And I select, relevant geo definition. Now it will be points. So on the points on the different states. And I hit save. Yeah. So I should be able to, let me split it. Let me enlarge this. Let me change the color of the indicator to something visible for you guys, and it will be red. Probably. So I just again very easily can change the look and feel of the view. I'll save it. Yeah, and now you see a point. So number of students in Florida, number of students in what is this? Alabama, Georgia. So I had some definition of the points, longitude and latitude for Florida, and I'm able to assign this school information from this case to different values. If I want to create a heat map, the same way, so I can actually take this view. I click here on this icon to duplicate it, I just click here. So now I duplicate it. The connection is slow, okay? And I just change the drill down definition. So instead of the points, I want to see shapes. I save it. Shapes are the heat map, the regions, the areas. And I will be able, to. So now I see the same data, but actually by the heat map. So this is all how we display it on the heat map. So darker Florida, bigger circle, smaller circle, lighter color. You can use predefined countries, states, or you can start building your own regions, areas.
Just one question.
Good.
The
Go ahead.
background picture is aspiration file. Is it?
This is the background picture. Oh, this is a Google API, I think. So this is like interactive map from Google. Google allows you to take their API, display a map, and then you can build your own layers on top of it. So our layer is actually the circles and the heat map here. This is how Foursquare and whatever all this like geotagging things work. They take a Google map as a bottom, and then you can start writing your own code, creating your own layers. So once I have Instagram and I have some pictures from different cities, they're displayed like on a map. This on Facebook, everyone uses this. Probably Facebook use their own map, or Microsoft map, or whatever it is. Okay, so I think, and then a custom content. So basically, if I want to create some headline, if I want to add some, like RSS feed, video, image, I want to, make some notes here or whatever, I can just use our custom content. So let me just again go to probably some video, and how to do it. I'll just click share here. I want to embed it. I just don't want to listen to this one, and then I probably need to go to HTML, paste it here, provide some name, and then need to provide a name. I can embed video, and I can, instead of example video, I can embed some text. So this will be U.S. states education. Whatever. I just make it a headline, so it's bigger. I can select colors and everything I want, and I click add, and basically I'll have the title, then I can move it somewhere up here. I can make it even bigger, and this is how you enrich your reports with the different custom content, as we call it. So it can be HTML, it can be whatever you have a rich editor for it. Once I'm done, I just finish it. I don't see some of the options here, but basically I can browse. I can start observing this one. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can play the video, and basically the reports eventually looks better. Like this will be created in half an hour. As I was showing you before. Everything is in nice layout, colors, conditional formattings, and so on and so on. There's maybe one more thing I want to show you, because firstly I don't know why I'm out of the battery, and secondly we should continue. And these are the variables. And variables is something like if you want to model scenarios, or if you want to model what if analysis. If I don't want to display only the static numbers, but if I want to give it some life to my report, I want to make some variables, and then I want to change the variable and see the difference. See how the data will change. So, for example, I'll have exchange rate, and I change the exchange rate in the variable, and something will change. Or I can set up the benchmarks, or I can set up the date intervals. So I'll just really quickly show you one variable, how it works. Basically, I can select what kind of type of variable I want to have. So I can have a date, to specify the date, or I can have a text, or I can apply a filter. So let me just create a number. I'll call it benchmark. I assign it value, let's say 0.05, and I'll save it. So it will appear here on my right panel. Yeah, I have a value here. I can start changing it. It doesn't make any sense to change it right now because it's now bounded to anything in my report. So I can start bounding into different objects in my report. So let's say I want to create a benchmark here. I don't want to see only this, but I want to see maybe what's the dropout rate benchmark for my district. So I create a new indicator, and in a formula, I can start actually using the variable. So if I type add, you see that I have a benchmark here. But I don't know why I call it benchmark t, but okay, let's go. Let's just call it bn. I'll save it. Maybe I assign some appearance, so let's make it again line, yellow line without any dots. I'll save it. and click here, okay. And now, you know, I have something which is actually, okay, maybe the line, there shouldn't be a, you know, space, maybe just a line. And I have a benchmark here, and once I want to, you know, create a waterfall analysis and model the scenario, change, for example, exchange rates, dates, and everything, I just go here, you know, the analyst or whoever wants, I just change the value, and this goes down, you know, so this is the way how I can give life to reports, you know. I can start, you know, here usually when you have a customer, there's like 20, 25 and more variables because they want to see, you know, different exchange rates, different parameters, you know, different whatever variables, different dates. So basically what I can do actually, I can not only create a number, but I can add a new, for example, filter, you know, and I want to filter by school, which will contain, you know, only one school, and this will be something like the global filter. So actually I can say, okay, I'll choose this school, I'll save it, and then users have all these filters here, and they can start selecting what kind of products, what kind of a customer, what kind of a company they want to see, or what kind of a school I want to see right now, you know, so I don't have any data from this date with this filter because this is not a high school, so let me just remove this one. And this will be a global filter. So this Alexander Elm School, you know, I have only one school, 344 students, so this is the global filter applied to all the views in the report. And this is all from a reporting from me. Aislinn will continue, she will show you more about the collaboration because this is not on the reporting layer. There's many more things, so she will continue. If you have any question, guys, regarding the analysis, doing the analysis on the reporting layer, just go ahead. There's the right time to ask.